Ever dealt with someone who acts sweet to your face, but the moment you turn around, they're spreading rumors and talking behind your back? Well, that's exactly what just went down in the gaming world, and Kingsman didn't just call it out. He came prepared with evidence that left no room for doubt. We're talking full message logs, screenshots that tell the whole story, and proof so solid that major brand deals started disappearing within hours. What kicked off as drama over a Marvel Rivals esports competition quickly spiraled into a textbook case of self-destruction, and honestly, the speed at which everything collapsed was almost unprecedented. CC's strategy of playing the innocent victim while the cameras were rolling completely backfired. When her private conversations leaked, showing a totally different side of the story, the lies stacked up so high that even her most loyal supporters couldn't defend her anymore. And the internet collectively decided they'd seen enough. So let's dive into the explosive evidence Kingsman just revealed, break down why CC's damage control attempts fell completely flat, and examine how someone could watch multiple sponsorship deals evaporate in under 2 days. Let me set the stage for anyone who's just catching up on this situation. Kingsman found himself suddenly removed from a Marvel Rivals tournament with a $40,000 prize pool. Accused of creating a toxic environment for his team, his response was to share his perspective through a detailed video presenting evidence that contradicted the narrative being pushed against him. In his defense, he explained that all he'd done was encourage his teammates to approach the competition with focus and seriousness, which seems pretty standard for any competitive environment. The accusation painted him as some sort of problem player, but from his side of things, the criticism seemed wildly overblown. CC and the other team members put out their own public responses, and at that point, most observers figured the drama had run its course and everyone would move on. Except Kingsman wasn't ready to let it go, because while CC was crafting carefully worded apologies for social media and positioning herself as someone caught in an unfortunate misunderstanding, the messages she was sending directly to Kingsman told a completely different story. So instead of staying silent and accepting a damaged reputation, he made the decision to expose everything and let the public see both sides of who CC really was. The document he released starts with Discord message screenshots that completely rewrite what people thought they knew about the situation. In these conversations, someone Kingsman has identified as CC, based on context clues and other evidence, appears to be coordinating with Caplunk, who happens to be dating their teammate, Zaza, and the content of these messages is absolutely wild when you read them. The message essentially instructs someone to create an anonymous account, secretly record and download gameplay clips, and search for literally anything that could be weaponized to justify removing Kingsman from the roster. It continues with a dismissive attitude, suggesting that Kingsman is nothing special and that there are countless other equally skilled players who could fill his spot without issue. The message specifically calls him replaceable, as if his contributions meant nothing to the team's success. So picture this: while CC was publicly distancing herself from the decision to kick Kingsman and acting like she had no involvement in the whole controversy, there's documented proof of someone in her inner circle actively strategizing about how to build a case against him. The irony is absolutely rich when you consider they're calling their top-performing player disposable while simultaneously suggesting his only motivation is prize money. Since when is wanting to win a cash tournament somehow controversial or wrong? The guy's literally trying to fund his college education through competitive gaming. Of course, financial motivation matters. When there's real money on the line, that's the entire foundation of how prize pool tournaments work. But trust me, this is just the beginning, because the situation gets exponentially messier from this point forward. After Kingsman posted his initial response video laying out his side of the story, CC decided to reach out to him privately through direct messages. And when you compare what she was saying behind closed doors versus the carefully crafted public statements she was posting online, the disconnect is genuinely shocking. Her opening message immediately goes on the offensive, demanding that he do something about what she calls NPCs, basically people she doesn't like, who are flooding her Discord server and social media with criticism. Right off the bat, you can tell this isn't a conversation between equals. The tone isn't asking for help or seeking resolution, it's demanding compliance, like she expects him to jump whenever she says so. Kingsman's response shows remarkable restraint, and reasonableness under the circumstances. He points out that he explicitly told his audience not to harass anyone, and he mentioned this disclaimer roughly 40 times throughout his video to make sure the message was crystal clear. He offers to ban any specific Twitch usernames she can provide as evidence of harassment coming from his community. But instead of appreciating this reasonable response, CC fires back with a defensive message that inadvertently reveals more than she probably intended. She complains that people think she's responsible for getting him banned, then tries to minimize her role by saying all she did was agree with Basim's decision and that Kingsman was getting removed regardless of her opinion. Let's pause and think critically about that logic for a second. If someone was genuinely going to be removed from the team, no matter what anyone else said or did, why would you need to verbally agree with that decision? By stating that you agreed with the choice, you're literally admitting that you endorsed it and gave it your support. You could have easily said something like, hey, I actually disagreed with this decision, or I tried to defend you but was outvoted. But nope, she agreed with removing him. And now she's upset that people are correctly identifying her as part of the problem. The logic doesn't hold up under even basic scrutiny. Then comes the emotional manipulation phase of the conversation, where CC tries a completely different strategy. She writes that she wishes he had asked for clarification before uploading what she dramatically calls a godforsaken video, and describes herself as currently dealing with panic attacks while frantically banning people across multiple platforms to control the damage. Then comes the demand: make another post to clarify things or just delete the entire video if you genuinely care about the impact. This has happened on me, and this moment right here reveals exactly who CC is when the public performance drops and you see the real person underneath. She attempted to weaponize mental health struggles as a manipulation tactic designed to pressure Kingsman into removing video evidence that exposed uncomfortable truths about her behavior. She threw out panic attacks like it was some kind of get-out-of-jail-free card that should excuse everything else she'd done and said. But here's what needs to be said clearly and directly. Struggling with anxiety or experiencing panic attacks doesn't transform you into a bully. Mental health challenges don't make you two-faced or force you to demand that other people delete videos exposing the truth. They don't make you hostile and aggressive in private messages while playing innocent in public. So when CC tried to use mental health as a shield while simultaneously being combative and manipulative in these exact same conversations, it became clear that she was exploiting a serious issue to avoid accountability. But Kingsman refused to fall for the manipulation and stood his ground. His response was direct and firm. The VOD is staying up, dude. I'm not taking it down. Nothing is out of context. That's when CC completely lost control of the narrative, and her messages became increasingly unhinged. She accused him of deliberately throwing her under the bus just to farm views and engagement. She insisted that his own toxic behavior got him banned and that he simply couldn't accept responsibility for his actions. Then she dropped this line that perfectly encapsulates the twisted logic she's operating under. She called him a horrible person for supposedly harassing Zaza for an entire hour and making her upset, even after the team repeatedly told him to stop. Then she adds that now she's receiving that same harassment amplified 10 times worse. But let's be completely real about what actually happened here. Asking your teammate to switch characters during a competitive tournament with serious money on the line isn't harassment. It's basic strategy and team communication. It's called trying to win, which is something CC's team clearly struggled with after removing their best player, as evidenced by their subsequent losing streak. But anyway, returning to her ridiculous claim, if requesting that someone swap off Black Widow to improve team composition qualifies as harassment, then literally every competitive player in gaming history would be guilty of the same offense. And CC genuinely tried to claim she's experiencing harassment 10 times worse than what Kingsman endured. The guy got kicked from a major tournament, publicly labeled as toxic and difficult to work with, and watched his professional reputation get systematically destroyed. She's just angry that people finally connected the dots and started calling out her actual behavior instead of accepting her victim narrative. But wait, because somehow this gets even more ridiculous. After all these aggressive and hostile messages, after the guilt-tripping and emotional manipulation, after trying to force him to delete evidence, CC has the audacity to post a public statement trying to control the damage. In this tweet, she claims she's sitting in the middle of class when she sees the controversy blowing up and wants to be absolutely clear about one thing. Those direct messages with Kaplunk weren't actually her messages. She admits that yes, she criticized Kingsman harshly, but claims she's been attempting to apologize since the night everything went down. Community Notes, Twitter's fact-checking feature appeared on her post faster than you can blink, completely destroying her cover story in real time. People zoomed in on the Discord screenshots she was trying to disown and pointed out that the profile picture and user badges perfectly matched. Other confirmed screenshots of her account, she was caught in an obvious lie while thousands of people watched it happen live. Then CC tried deploying the classic public relations move of, I just want to move on from this, please. But here's the thing, you don't get to bully someone, lie about your involvement, get exposed with receipts, and then demand everyone move on because continuing to discuss it is inconvenient for your image. That's fundamentally not how accountability or consequences work in the real world. Apparently, her sponsors completely agreed with that assessment because within approximately 48 hours, CC watched multiple brand deals disappear. Solaris Gaming released an official statement explaining they'd been informed of everything that transpired and made the decision to remove CC from both their organization and creator program effective immediately. Then Infinity Mice followed up with their own announcement, making it clear they don't support behavior that targets or disrespects other content creators and therefore wouldn't be continuing their partnership with her. When companies are severing ties that quickly and decisively, it's not because they're overreacting to typical influencer drama. It's because someone's behavior was so clearly indefensible and toxic that maintaining any association poses a genuine risk to their brand reputation. But just when you think it can't get any worse for CC's public image. An old clip resurfaced from one of her previous streams. In this footage, she openly discusses how controversy and cancellation drama drive massive viewership numbers. She talks about how people pop off and maintain relevance, specifically through getting involved in controversial situations, which many interpreted as a confession that she deliberately leaned into this drama knowing it would generate attention and engagement. And if that interpretation is accurate, well, she's definitely popping off right now, just not for the reasons she hoped for, and it's certainly not helping her stay relevant in any positive way. In fact, it's doing the exact opposite and actively destroying whatever career foundation she'd built. Meanwhile, her teammate Lucy, the one who told Kingsman to shut the fuck up during the original incident, doubled down on her position and insisted her behavior was completely justified under the circumstances. In leaked direct messages with Kingsman where she attempted some form of apology, she simultaneously continued blaming him for various issues, which meant she couldn't even commit to a genuine, unconditional apology. And then there's Zaza and her boyfriend Kaplunk, who both immediately switched their Twitter accounts to private mode the moment things started falling apart. Zaza posted some lengthy statement claiming she had no knowledge about the Google document her boyfriend created to attack Kingsman's character, but then someone found a clip from her live stream where she's literally discussing how Kaplunk was writing a comprehensive document and gathering all the evidence to include. So basically, nobody on their side can keep their stories straight or aligned with objective evidence, and the inconsistencies just keep piling up higher and higher. But here's the beautiful irony that makes this whole situation almost poetic in its justice. Kingsman ended up winning in every way that actually matters. His Twitch channel absolutely exploded to over 20,000 subscribers practically overnight, and he's receiving more community support and positive attention than ever before in his content creation career. Meanwhile, CC's watching sponsorships disappear, getting absolutely destroyed by community notes, fact checks on every platform, and becoming the internet's prime example of what happens when you try to play both sides of a conflict. She wanted to be perceived as the victim for public sympathy while simultaneously being the bully in private conversations. She thought she could apologize her way out of behavior she was actively continuing behind the scenes. And she got exposed so completely and thoroughly that even the people who initially wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt had to step back and admit this wasn't defensible. Because when you strip away all the noise and drama and get down to the fundamental truth of what happened here, this was never really about a Black Widow. Character selection or team composition strategy debates, this was about someone who treated another human being like absolute garbage, actively worked to destroy their professional reputation, orchestrated their removal from a team, and then immediately played victim the moment the truth started. Coming to light and consequences arrived. As of today, CC's career might not be completely and permanently over just yet. But recovering from this level of public exposure and brand damage is going to require a lot more than panic attack excuses and "can we please just move on" tweets. She'll need genuine accountability, real change behavior over time, and a complete rebuild of trust that could take years if it's even possible. But I want to hear your perspective on how this all went down. Do you think CC deserved to lose her sponsorships and face these consequences? Or do you feel like the internet's response crossed a line and went too far? Drop your honest thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll catch you in the next video. Cease.